On some level, everybody should learn this stuff. When you think about like the fundamental principles underlying this, like ideas like that decisions and outcomes are not the same thing,
Yeah.
that there's a distinction between those that's important, or ways to think about uncertainty or the value of thinking about alternatives, those kind of things are things that could benefit everybody. Not everybody needs all the more complex stuff necessarily, but we also all face pretty complex decisions in our lives, and there's a lot of opportunity to help make those better.
Hi, Michelle Florendo here, and welcome to Ask a Decision Engineer. Listen in and find out how to untangle big decisions with less stress and more clarity. Throughout this season, which has been made possible in partnership with the Society of Decision Professionals, I've been sharing perspectives of other decision professionals I met at the 2025 annual conference. We talked about what this field is about, whether you call it decision analysis, decision science, or decision engineering. We talked about the ways that these concepts and tools are currently used across different industries and on both the technical side and the human side of decision making. Yet even though all these professionals find decision science super useful in their own work and lives, they're convinced that there are so many more people out there who would benefit from learning these skills. In this episode, I asked decision professionals who they think should learn these concepts, why, and what the impact could be. I'll start with Akeem Bacchus, a data analyst who has a wish for a specific group who he thinks should learn more about these concepts.
I wish that all of the executive boards and C-suites would at least, or could at least be sold on the philosophy, like what you were saying, the concept of the quality of decision being separate from the quality of the outcome, as well as the fact that we really have to give some thinking and some time to properly framing a question. At least in my experience, I've seen the frame is already implicit from the very beginning and is never questioned. We just go forward. Yeah.
What do you think would be different if executives and boards learned about that distinction?
In like a fantasy world?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. I think we'd have better quality decisions, because I think the decisions that we pick that are just the ones that are the first ones that we think of are almost never going to be the optimal ones, right? So it really requires a process. And just sitting and overthinking also doesn't get you to the answer in a reasonable time. So you need that diligence, but with a process that helps to contain it a bit.
Senior leaders within an organization make such consequential decisions about company strategy, and any improvement in the quality of those decisions would have huge cascading impact. Walter Kosi, who has been practicing decision analysis at his company for years, has a slightly different opinion and a broader view of who he thinks should learn more about decision science.
Who else would benefit from learning more about this space and learning more about the things that you've been learning?
I mean, I think decision science can be applied to organizations, of course, right? To any organizations, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I also learned on this conference that you can also apply it in your personal life. Yeah. So it's really universally applicable to many subjects, I would say. Yeah.
Right. Making decisions everywhere. And what are the ways in which you've seen this benefit your company?
I think there are some decision traps, like plunging into a decision, right? Or only, I'm looking for the word again. What is it? Considering only one alternative, for example. Yeah. So, and with the simple framing, I think this is a very powerful tool, which we have not done in that form maybe before, right? It brings people together. Yeah. And I mean, everything is put on the table. Yeah. All the issues, etc. Right? Which has maybe not been done before like that. Yeah.
You can have better conversations, or like
you can have
everything
better conversations. You can have all the issues considered, right? You can have a complete discussion, I would say. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it can even be more inclusive.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Decision analysis and decision science is not just for folks at the top of organizations. Rather, infusing it throughout various levels and across different functions can improve decisions, the conversations we have about them, and how inclusive the process is. Eva Roa, a data scientist and a newbie at the conference, takes this perspective even further as she reflects on the specific things she has learned and the impact those learnings could have on others like her. As you're learning about this, you talked about how you see it can apply to your role, but what does it make you think about in terms of who else might benefit from learning some of this stuff?
Yeah, I think that anyone who has to influence a decision or make a decision within an organization, which is pretty much everyone. Yeah. So everyone. But I think that people in a decision-making capacity or in a strategy role that are really hyper-focused on making decisions or helping folks make decisions, I think benefit from this, right? Because you learn how to do things more effectively. You learn how to guide a decision more effectively. You know what a good decision kind of looks like. And I think that's extremely valuable, right? Making decisions within organizations is extremely chaotic. Yes. Yes. And anything that we could do to be sharper with that, I think is well welcomed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about how decision making can be so chaotic. Because I think one of the things that I keep hearing from people is how having this structure, this process, can just drive even just more consistency and reliability in the myriad of decisions that are being made within an organization.
For sure. Yeah. So at the organization that I'm in, one of the things that I've been thinking about for the last year or so is just on something like a simple metric, right? Depending on how people might define it. A metric, let's say something as straightforward as revenue, that can be not straightforward because you have all of these factors at play. You have what units you care about, the length of time that you care about, what you include, what you don't include, whether or not you care about things like fraud or whatever it is, and what you're going to use that to make a decision. And if you don't have alignment on even that, right, then all of a sudden people are talking about totally different things. And so the process of being able to get people to actually talk about the same thing is now I have the tools to do that in a much more effective way. So I'm very grateful for this conference experience. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else that you think would be useful for people to know?
Yeah, let's see. So I think that there's the types of things that you might want to do in an organization, like size an opportunity or figure out whether or not you should or should not do something or evaluate if something went well. These are pretty core to any sort of business or any sort of organization, nonprofit, public sphere, etc. And you can always do that more effectively. And what I really like about this practice and this field of study is that it cares about how to do that in a way that cares about, of course, the quantitative side, like the data, what the data says and everything like that. But it's also quite human. It does care quite a bit about the human aspect of it. So me coming at it from a data science perspective where my industry, my field cares a lot about the quantitative side, right? The data aspect and everything like that. But if I just care about that in my day-to-day at work, I can't do my job very well. I also have to care about the human aspect of it. And it's a lovely way to take my analytical brain, give it some tools to think about the human aspect, the stuff that you need in order to actually get decisions to go through. And so if you're interested in, doing that, I think it's quite useful. It gives you kind of tools and language to approach the qualitative side if you're coming at it from a quantitative perspective. Yeah.
I agree with Eva that these concepts are useful for anyone who needs to influence a decision or make a decision, which is pretty much everyone in an organization. As she said, it helps you do things more effectively, guide things more effectively, and know what good looks like. It blends the technical with the human, both of which are necessary to get things done and move things forward. So if this is all so great, why hasn't it spread far and wide throughout the corporate sector? Tyler Ludlow shares some of what he's seen in his time teaching these concepts in both the pharmaceutical and then consumer packaged goods setting, along with the payoff that comes from persisting in teaching these tools, even when it seems like an uphill battle at first. As you were teaching this type of thinking to people, what did you notice? What was their reaction?
Well, in a corporation, I noticed the first reaction is, unless they're previously bought in or have a relationship, right? If they've previously tasted the Kool-Aid before or whatever. But if that's not the case, it's like deer in the headlights. It strikes people as a whole lot of talking about a decision instead of actually making a decision. People seem a little resistant. All of the framing and all of the structuring stuff, I've noticed some resistance to almost universally starting out, but I also tell people all the time, you know, I've never had someone from a team that I've worked with who after the fact has said, oh, that structuring, framing stuff was a waste of time. And the most common reaction is that people come back and say, that was so cool. I think we could have even done more of it. So I think I try to drive towards aha moments, you know, moments of clarity. I think that's the success of a good decision process, right? Whether that's moments of clarity about what the decision actually is that I'm focused on, having a flash of insight about a new alternative or option to be able to move forward with, some way to have insight about, you know, unknowns, uncertainty, and how I might be able to manage that, or wherever that's coming from, right? There's somewhere along the way, there's an aha moment that unlocks things, and that's the exciting part of the journey.
Cool. I've seen the same thing that Tyler has seen, that even if there's some initial skepticism or resistance, no one I've met ever regrets learning these tools. In fact, many come back hungry for more, and the impact extends beyond the corporate space. Lindsay Oyola, a longtime decision analysis practitioner in the oil and gas industry, shares what she's seen. Anything else that you think people should know or that you want to share with people?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about Society of Decision Professionals, I think even if you were to come and engage and learn a little bit more about quality decision making, or what does it mean to make a quality decision, it not only might help you out at work, but it completely can change how you think about things at home, in your relationships, how you move forward with, you know, something as simple as vacation planning to maybe making a life choice about moving states or countries or something, right? I think a lot of times people make decisions or they avoid decisions. Why? Because they're uncomfortable, right? And it's because, oh God, I wish I had another piece of information, or they haven't really thought through what they value and why they trade off. We always hear people talk about like, well, what do you value in life? Well, I mean, that's something we spend a lot of time on, because you can't really make decisions, you know, unless you know what you value in that space. So discussing through how to do that. What I've seen on the personal side is a lot of folks are, once they go through the process of thinking about the steps of making a quality decision, they're much more capable of making the decision and feeling good about the decision and being done with it and being like, wow, I feel good about what I did. I feel good about the decision I made, as opposed to making a decision and just feeling uncomfortable with it moving forward and always wondering whether they could have done more or done something differently. But when you kind of look at it and you go, okay, I've followed this, you know, way of thinking, basically, you get so much more comfortable with what you're doing. And I think, so even if you're going, gosh, I'm not really into the math, or I'm not into this or that, everybody's doing this in terms of making decisions every day, and so I think they can learn things from it and feel much more comfortable.
It's not just about corporate decision making. There's upside in personal decision making as well. Everyone makes decisions. And imagine what could be possible if everyone were equipped with the tools to feel more capable of making those decisions and could feel good about the decisions they made. Taking this vision further, Professor Reidar Bratvold shares where he would like to see decision analysis taught. In what context do you see this type of thinking is really useful? Like, where is it used now? And also, where do you think there are possibilities and more opportunities for it to be used?
Everywhere. More opportunities everywhere.
Everybody makes decisions everywhere.
Everybody makes decisions everywhere. I wish this was compulsory education from kindergarten and up. Mm-hmm. So not only decision analysis, but the components of decision analysis, so thinking straight about uncertainty. Every decision we make is about the future, right? And we know for sure that the future is uncertain, don't we?
Yeah.
So, but we don't teach our kids this. So it's also logic and philosophy that is very appealing to me. So it's feelings are important. We shouldn't ignore feelings, but we should think straight about our feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than being swayed by them without being aware of what's actually happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think this is also a very good way of thinking about life in general. It's almost like a life philosophy. So I've been talking to my kids since they were tiny, right? And And they always joke with me, here comes Dad again, right, with his decision analysis thing, right? But I observe that they're doing it. So I think this should be part of kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, all the way through. I certainly think it should be a compulsory course at university. Not as a vertical education, well, it could be that too. So, for example, at Stanford, they have you can get a master's or a PhD in decision analysis. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. But I think every engineer should learn about decision analysis. I think every economist, I think every social scientist. This is the only way we can create value in a purposeful way is through our decisions. Right. It's hard to think about anything that could be more important than that for all of us.
As I interviewed dozens of decision professionals at the conference, it became clear. Decision professionals don't want this knowledge locked up in academia or the private sector, accessible to just a select group of people. We want to share it with everyone. We've seen it in action across industries and organizations of all kinds. We've seen it applied in many different ways to many different types of decisions. We know it works, not just for work, but also in life. That's part of the reason why I do the work that I do. I'm on a mission to help relieve the stress people experience when facing big decisions. The tools already exist. It's just a matter of getting them into the hands of the people who need them. Stay tuned for the next episode, where I wrap up this season with a bit more about the organization that brings together all these people who are passionate about decision-making and helping others make a good decision every time. See you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you know of someone who might benefit from learning more about how to make good decisions, please send them a link to our website, poweredbydecisions.com/podcast. The website poweredbydecisions.com is also the place to go if you are interested in more resources on decision making or would like to submit a question to potentially be answered on a future episode. Again, this is Michelle Florendo from Ask a Decision Engineer. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.